I think the gentleman will now recognize myself here. Let me go back to the expedited investigation at Yosemite. It's our understanding of the 21 people the investigators interviewed, every single one of them, with one exception, described Yosemite as a hostile work environment as a result of the behavior and conduct of the park's superintendent. Why isn't there immediate relief?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, that was to me.
Yes.
We are actively engaged. The regional director who's in San Francisco.
Wait. Let's explain. Let's explore the relationship between Yosemite and the region. Is there a problem with that chain of command there?
The regional office that oversees Yosemite is in San Francisco. We have a regional director. We have a
What about the deputy? Who's that person?
We have 3 deputy regional directors.
Yes.
And 1 is in Seattle, and 2 are in San Francisco, along with the regional director.
Come on, you know what I'm getting at.
One of the deputies is the wife of the superintendent at Yosemite.
So,
and we have, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, we have consciously stovepiped that by having a third party in the Midwest region, our EEO manager, help run the investigative process.
okay, but here's the problem. You have these things just spring up overnight, right? This has been a long-standing pattern. You have somebody who's essentially protected and empowered by his wife. I mean, people are afraid of actually coming forward and filing a complaint. I mean, one of the complaints is that the complaints get back to the superintendent. And so when your chain of command and your ability to tell supervisors is impeded by the fact that they're husband and wife, how do you let that happen?
It's even more important why this investigation is important to me to understand if
How
these
long has it been going on?
Are true. I am not sure, Mr. Chairman.
What do you mean you're not sure? You're the head of the workforce, and then you got a promotion. So,
yeah, I don't know in terms of what the time scale has been, but that's what I'm asking the investigative teams to look into.
who did the investigative? You mean the Inspector General?
The Inspector General now is involved. We were going to be doing our own.
Ms. Martin, can you shine some light on this ongoing problem?
The expedited inquiry took place about the first part of August, so I can appreciate the fact that the investigation is now turned over to the IG, but with substantial credible evidence of a hostile work environment. There was a number of us that did fear that the superintendent did release or did have a list of names when the regional director came out with the expedited inquiry looking for individuals that would be willing to make statements, either in person or written, about their perception of a hostile work environment at Yosemite. So there was a number of us that feared that the superintendent probably got our names. We don't know how. Maybe it was through the regional office. We don't know. But there are people that felt that they were not going to come forward and provide a statement based upon this expedited inquiry because the superintendent had a list of names ahead of time.
Were there any repercussions for that? I mean, are you aware of anybody who had any sort of retaliation against them because they had stepped forward and made a statement about the reality of what was going on?
Not at this point. Because it still is under investigation, we're not hearing about no names have been shared. We only have an informal network of individuals that have come forward, but this is the first time I'm actually hearing what some of the additional allegations are in the statements that have been made.
Can you share with us any of your other personal experience? You mentioned that you had been the victim 3 times, and you were very candid in what happened in the 1980s. But when you came back to the Park Service, what was your experience?
I came back to the Park Service after working for the Forest Service for 16 years. When I came back in 2006, I was very excited that my career was coming back to the Park Service. I really enjoy working for the Park Service. But we're experienced the culture that's very, very closed in terms of being able to talk about these difficult issues. And when I came back to the Park Service, my fear is that the first individual that was the perpetrator for my first sexual harassment was still working for the Park Service, and indeed he was. And it was up until just recently that this is why I made the decision to come forward, is that I really felt that it was important to shine light on the fact that this was the tipping point for me and for so many other women that needed to have this heard.
And this was a person who was arrested in 2000, in the year 2000, a high-ranking national park official accused of peeping at naked women at a YMCA. Then there's another incident report in 2001. They were having voyeurism issues. Police officer was sent. This person was found to be behind a home or a building in a highly suspicious behavior in that situation. And again, nothing happens. It seems to be a little bit of a pattern. These are just the ones that they caught. So what were, if you don't mind my asking, I hope you don't, what were the other two incidents that happened to you? And then also maybe if you can contrast the difference between Forest Service and Park Service.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The other two incidents, one, while I was still working at Grand Canyon, I don't remember the exact year, there was an individual that between the Park Service and the Forest Service, we work very closely together on wildland fire, incidents. And so this particular gentleman worked for the Forest Service, took pictures of me and put my pictures up above his visor in his government vehicle, was quite bold about it and showed other people that he had pictures of me in his government vehicle. One day alone at my office on the south rim of Grand Canyon, he was bold enough to enter my office and tried to kiss me. And I pushed him away and very, very visibly shaken and upset, told a friend of mine about what had happened. Went to his office, the Forest Service office, and proceeded to confront the individual. I never had any problems after that, but I did not feel safe at Grand Canyon. This particular gentleman had applied for the Chief of Fire and Aviation job at Grand Canyon, and at that point I proceeded to notify the Deputy Superintendent at Grand Canyon at that time that this particular individual was sexually harassing me. I do believe that my conversation with the Deputy Superintendent most likely prevented that individual from getting a job at Grand Canyon.
And the other incident?
The other incident was when, after I left the National Park Service, I was working for the U.S. Forest Service, and there was a private, it was a work-sponsored meeting at a private house, and I was sitting next to a superior of mine in my fire chain of command, was sitting on a crowded couch, proceeded to run his fingers through my hair. I immediately got up from the couch to remove myself from the situation. I talked to my immediate supervisor about it the following day. Again, these are very embarrassing situations. It seems so ubiquitous in our culture, in the wildland fire culture, that I just didn't feel that I could expose that as part of preserving my career. But at one point, I did mention it to upper management in the Forest Service, and the appalling reply, when I told him about it, well, it's his word against yours. So I think at that point I really began to really believe that there is a culture of tolerance and acceptance of this kind of behavior in our workforce. And I have been powerless, although maybe I could have come forward with more formal complaints. I did not. I honestly felt that the preservation of my career status with my peers was more important than filing a complaint.
with some indulgence here, just one more question. Mr. Reynolds, during your time heading the workforce, how many people were fired for sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, or anything in that genre? How many?
I'd have to look up a number and get it to you today, but I am not aware that there were that many fired, to be honest with you, for those actions that you state.
Were there any?
I'll confirm with you. I don't have any recollection of any at this point.
I guess I'd like to know how many complaints were filed during that time.
Yep.
Let's take the end of 2013
Okay.
to present day.
Got it.
How many were complaints happen at any level, and how many people were fired? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now recognize the gentleman from Virginia.